Update. Am I the a-hole for telling my friend that her free wedding is unrealistic? Original post. I, 24 female, am a part of a friend group in which one member, we'll call her Coral 23 female, is getting married. She announced her engagement to her fiancé, 25 male, a few weeks ago, and we were all happy for her. Over the weekend, though, she shared more specific plans for the wedding, and that's where things have kind of gone off the rails. She said she's been seeing a lot of people on TikTok and Instagram showing how to plan free weddings where the couple spends $0, aside from the marriage certificate fee, I guess. At first I thought she meant a city hall wedding, which would be completely fine. But then she got into the details and her expectations for the ceremony. She's going to try and find someone with a large outdoor space to use, not formally a wedding venue, who will donate their area in support of love. She's going to have all of her guests bring a potluck with very specific assignments. She will have a friend officiate, a friend do photography, a friend do save the dates and invites, her family do the flowers, etc., including some harder to swing, in my opinion, things like getting a large tent, decorations, wedding favors, speakers, a band, etc. I'm not sure what her plan is for a dress. What's more is that Coral and her fiancé really aren't poor from what I can tell. She works as an accountant at a big company, and her fiancé does software sales, I think. Plus, his parents are loaded. It sounds like they just want to do the free wedding thing for the sake of it. That would be okay, but she is just shifting all of the costs onto other people, some of whom are probably less well off. She told me that she wants me to make the cake, and then sent me some pictures for inspiration. The cakes were ridiculously elaborate. We're talking multi-tier, fondant flowers, gold leaf, and one even had a hand-painted watercolor design. I'm not a professional baker. I just like to bake cookies and brownies sometimes. I told her that those cakes would probably take me days to make, and they wouldn't come out anywhere near as good. She kind of laughed that off and said, "Oh, it's not about it being perfect. It's just about everyone pitching in. It'll be fun." I told her that fun or not, what she was describing was basically her friends and family subsidizing her wedding with time, money, and labor, and that it was kind of unfair to expect people to spend so much on her free wedding. Or else she was expecting everyone to show up to a lackluster event and just pretend it was amazing. It's like a group project that none of us wanted to do, because we already graduated and moved on from all that, so we don't need the credit. She does graduate a year later than the rest of us. I said that if she wants a free wedding, she should probably just elope or go to City Hall, because this isn't really free, it's just free for her. I might have been a bit more forceful in my wording, but I didn't swear or call her names or anything like that. She got super quiet and just looked at me for a minute or so, and then left, with another one of our friends driving her home. Later that night, I got a text from that friend saying I had really hurt Coral's feelings, and that even if the plans were a bit unrealistic, I should have just let Coral come to that conclusion on her own. Coral then messaged me just saying, "Sorry, don't worry about the cake," with no more context. I am feeling pretty bad now, especially since Coral was so happy and excited, and she never really said anything mean to me. Perhaps I should have just gone along with the cake, since she said she wouldn't be mad if it turned out badly, but I am worried that her wedding would not have been what she wanted. I was also frustrated about the cake request. Edit. Honestly, I feel a bit bad now. Coral really is a sweet person who is just a bit naive. I feel like a lot of people in the comments are tearing her up more than she deserves. She has always been the baby of the group, and I just got frustrated and ranted in this case. I don't know what the fiancé thinks about all of this. Not the a-hole. She's in for a rude awakening the first time she asks for a free party tent from someone. Those are expensive AF to rent. And it rains here a lot. I wanted to do a cheap wedding as we were in grad school, and our families couldn't help much. I rented a park shelter in a very nice park, waterfall nearby, etc., for $50. My parents brought basically barbecue. My mother-in-law brought a cupcake tower. I made fake flower centerpieces. Bridesmaids picked their own dresses, and groomsmen got a matching tie and wore their own clothes. Then we had a cabin for people to hang out after. My friend officiated, but it wasn't a legal wedding. We did that 2 weeks earlier. And that was that. It is possible to do a wedding pretty cheaply. It is not possible to do a fancy wedding for free. Not the a-hole. Your friend is being ridiculous, and you are the only one with the balls to tell her. Be happy she decided not to force you to do the cake. In her defense, for the last few things she's been naive about, she has ended up coming to the right conclusion on her own in the end. So maybe I should have just let that happen. No, because no matter what you think, doing it early saved her the embarrassment of coming to that conclusion after imposing on dozens of people. This way, it's embarrassment with 1 or 2 people, and then she realizes that it's probably not the way. When people are being unreasonable by accident or from not thinking it through, and they're good people otherwise, it's best to help them see it right away. Now it was 3 days of mistakes rather than a month and 200 apologies. Think of it like telling someone they have something in their teeth. It's embarrassing between those 2 people, but it's better than letting them do it in front of 30 people. Now for the first update 2 months later. Hi there, my last post sort of blew up, lol. I really didn't think so many people would be that interested in my silly friend group drama. Short recap. My friend Coral announced she was going to have a free wedding, with all of her friends playing roles to volunteer a nice venue, tent, food, photography, band, cake, my role, etc. It sounded okay at first, but her expectations seemed unrealistically lavish, and I told her that, in stronger wording, and she got upset. After reading the comments, I honestly began to feel bad for Coral. She really is a kind-hearted person, but a lot of people interpreted her as an insane entitled bridezilla. That's really not the case. I decided I was going to make the cake, and I sent her an apology text, to which I didn't get any reply. That was making me really anxious. I still didn't think that Coral's requests were that reasonable, and I wasn't expecting the wedding to fully go according to her plans, but that's not for me to worry about. Finally, I got a message from Coral's fiancé, who we'll call Basil, asking to meet up. I said yes. My expectation going into this was that Basil would tell me how much I hurt Coral's feelings, and I was going to reiterate my apology and share some research and planning I had done on the cake. That's not how it went, though. As it turns out, the whole free wedding thing was Basil's idea. That's not the impression I got before. Basil didn't explain at first why he wanted to do it, but when pressed, it sounds like it's so he could spend the money that he and Coral had been saving up for their wedding on something else. A boat. A Catalina 27 apparently. A very useful and practical thing to have when you are living in the city, especially if your fiancé gets seasick. We did one of those river cruise things a while back and she had a bad time. Basil says he'll help her get over that and that sailboats are different. Anyway, after my whole outburst before, Coral has apparently been having second thoughts about the free wedding idea. Basil asked me to talk to her, apologize, and tell her that it isn't a bad idea after all. He basically said I owe it to him to help clean up the mess I caused. I don't feel great about that though. I don't want to drive a wedge between Coral and Basil, but telling her I think it's a good idea after all feels like lying. And I guess actively advocating for a potential train wreck is crossing a further line for me than just agreeing to play my assigned, voluntold baker role. Moreover, this was my first real conversation with Basil, and I have to say I'm not totally convinced he's a great person. I don't know if he has exactly manipulated her into going along with this, but it kind of feels that way. So what do I do? It's been a little while now since I talked to Basil, so I really do need to do something, whether that's what Basil asked, or further involving myself in drama by telling Coral that I don't think the wedding, or the entire marriage, is a good idea. How about you just show Coral that you are there for her, no matter what she wants? Don't follow Basil's request, just be there for Coral. Offer to meet up with her and just ask about her. How is she? And listen to her. Be true to yourself and be a good friend to her. That is all you need to do. Thank you. This is honestly what I want to do, but given that she didn't reply to my last text, I'm worried about whether she'll even meet up with me if the first thing I say isn't directly taking back all my concerns from before. Makes me wonder if Basil is telling, or forcing, her not to respond. Continuing to try to check in and be a friend who listens could be much bigger than you think. I hope that's not it. I will try to reach out to her another way. Not the a-hole. If you want to make the cake, make the cake. Stay out of the rest of it, and tell your friend that you're here if she needs to talk. This isn't a free wedding. This is an everyone else pays wedding, which is silly at best. So basically just say nothing about everything Basil said to me, and act like spending the wedding fund on the boat is okay, unless she brings it up first. I assume she knows about the boat? If yes, minimize your feedback. I think so, but I'm not certain. Honestly, I'm surprised she would go along with the boat idea, but it seems even less likely that Basil would tell me about this if he were keeping it a secret from Coral. Last update. Hi again. I'm finally posting this update because a few people have asked what's going on with this whole situation. I was finally able to get in touch with Coral and talk to her one-on-one. The first thing I did was just ask her how she's doing. Apparently not very well. She's now fully aware that the whole free wedding thing really was her fiancé's idea. He had mentioned the boat in passing as something he wanted to save up for, but hadn't framed it at all as the thing he really wanted to spend the wedding money on, as he did when he told me about it. Maybe he thought that would make me think he's cool or something, or maybe he thought having a specific goal in mind would make me more likely to support the idea. Anyway, it's not just the wedding planning that has made Coral upset. Apparently, Basil, who is really into boats I guess, has been spending more and more time at the marina, which is 78 minutes away. Coral quoted that exact number lots of times. He doesn't even spend that much time out on the water. He just hangs out with people there and has been spending less and less time at home. He also keeps talking about Grace, who, as had to be explained to me, is a boat rather than a woman, fortunately. Coral said she's been invited to the club a few times, but has never really felt like she was part of it. When she brought that up to Basil, he said he feels the same way because they don't own their own boat. I don't think it's the same at all, and even if Grace isn't a person, Coral is feeling jealous. Last night, Coral brought up the wedding plans with Basil again and said she thinks she wants to wait and sort some things out first. Basil didn't get angry or anything and said he understands. Good. But he also asked if that meant they could spend some of their wedding savings since they would have more time to save up again. Bad. That broke Coral, which might be why she finally agreed to meet me. I know it makes me kind of a jerk, but to be entirely honest, I'm just glad that Coral is talking to me again. I told her to break up with Basil. She's thinking about it, but I'm scared she won't. I kind of want to offer to do it for her, but that would be silly. Last story. Am I the a-hole for telling my kid that she is being self-centered and cruel because her mom won't be able to make it to her wedding? My 28-year-old daughter's wedding is tomorrow. The problem is that my wife's father is in the hospital. He has always been frail since he was moved into a care home, but he took a turn for the worse and is now hospitalized. They don't think he will make it. My wife's sister says it looks bad, and she also isn't coming to the wedding anymore. The original plan was for him to fly up for the wedding today with the help of my wife's sister, but he was hospitalized yesterday and has continued to decline. My wife has been distraught and made the decision to fly down to see him. She is leaving tonight. It was a tough decision because she will miss the wedding. I told her I would FaceTime her in for the ceremony and anything else, but that she should go be with her dad before he dies. I also know she would be miserable at the wedding anyway. I doubt she would be able to put on a happy face and pretend everything was okay. We called our daughter to explain, and she did not take it well. She called her mom a lot of names. My wife has been crying ever since. She started spamming both our phones. I got into another argument with her and told her she was being self-centered and cruel about her mom not being able to make it. I said her grandfather is dying, and all she cares about is her big day, and that I didn't raise her to have no empathy. She told me that wasn't fair, and I told her it was. I told her to apologize to her mother. She told me I shouldn't come to the wedding if her mom isn't there. My wife is very distraught, and I am supposed to drive her to the airport in a few hours. Are we in the wrong? My daughter 100% thinks we are. My wife is heartbroken. Edit. I don't understand why some of you are acting like she is flying out to get lunch. He is dying. She wants to see him one last time before he passes. Multiple people asked. We have 4 kids in total. Yes, this is her grandfather on my wife's side. My wife's mother passed away 7 years ago. Not the a-hole. This is a difficult situation all around. I recommend you go to your daughter's wedding. Your wife has her sister to comfort her if their dad passes during the wedding day. You can join your wife after the wedding. If your daughter turns you away from her wedding or chooses not to have you give her away, that is her choice. But as a parent, it's important that you show up. I recommend mom do whatever she wants to do. If she wants to see her dad one last time before he dies, then do that. If she wants to go to the wedding, then do that. This is mom's decision. People need to stop trying to guilt her for wanting to see her dad alive one last time. I personally would want my parent to say goodbye to their parent and wouldn't give a flying F if they missed my wedding because their parent died. I would clarify for your daughter that she is right, that it isn't fair. It's not fair for her, whose mom is going to miss her wedding, and that sucks. It's not fair to Grandpa. It's not like he chose this moment to be dying, and that sucks. It's not fair to your wife, who was so happy and excited to see her daughter get married, but now, instead of that happiness, plans to be grieving her father, and that sucks. It is unfair, but that doesn't mean anybody is at fault. Sometimes the universe is just unfair. I think this is a bit no a-holes here. You have two massive, life-changing events competing with each other, and it's totally emotionally charged. Unfortunately, I don't think anyone is in a position to come out with a happy solution. Most adult children who have a healthy, happy relationship with their parents imagine them being there for their wedding. I'd argue that this can be especially true for mothers and daughters. For you to chalk it up to her being self-centered about an event that is about her, and one she has been looking forward to for a long time, doesn't acknowledge the hurt your daughter must be feeling about this, even if she is being irrational and mean with the name-calling. Your wife is stuck between a rock and a hard place, supporting her daughter during a big life moment while her father is passing away. She likely would have felt this way, even if your daughter had handled this perfectly. There may be even more fallout if your father-in-law doesn't pass away in the short term, because it could fuel your daughter's feelings that her mother should have found a way to be there. If your father-in-law's care team thinks he will make it another few days, then I would have your wife fly out immediately after the ceremony rather than going tonight. You also mentioned in a comment that your father-in-law has a good relationship with your daughter, so you also have to consider that this is a hard situation for her as well. She, like your wife, is experiencing one of the best and worst moments of her life concurrently. I don't know. It depends on what names the daughter called her mom. That seems like an extreme reaction, and I'm not sure sympathy should be given to the daughter in that case. If the daughter was sad and distraught and communicated that, then there are definitely no a-holes here. But if the daughter resorted to name-calling when she was told her mom was going to see her dying dad, then the daughter is the a-hole.